Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first episode of First Fridays with Urban Farms in 2021. I'm Mike Hollis, the Urban Farms Director at Services for the Underserved. And for those of you that are new to our YouTube channel, First Fridays is a monthly live broadcast where we showcase the work and the people of the SUS Urban Farms Initiative. So we are broadcasting live, which means that if we hit any technical snags, please bear with us as we get things back on track. But it also means you are invited to interact with us throughout the episode. If you're signed into YouTube, feel free to ask questions, give feedback, or make shout outs during the live chat feature. For our first segment today, let's just dive right into our Urban Farmer Spotlight. So for, excuse me, bit of noise on this side. There we go. So for this episode, rather than highlighting a single farmer or farm team, we kicked off 2021 by asking our urban farmers about some of their garden resolutions for this year. So for Dennis, one of our amazing urban farmers in Bushwick, Brooklyn, he is excited to be learning more about building soil fertility this year and looking forward to planting crops that have been popular at his residence. Hector, who has been a core volunteer with our community farm in Brownsville, Brooklyn. He's going to be making the transition to becoming a paid urban farmer this season, and he'll be starting this season with some repairs and plantings for the hoop house at his site. Rowley, who supported our urban farm sites throughout the Bronx this past season, wants to continue expanding his construction skills and tool knowledge through garden. Sorry about that. Some noise on this side. Wants to continue expanding his construction skills and tool knowledge through garden builds throughout the city this year, and also wants to improve his English language skills and build relationships with new members of the Urban Farms team. Missy, an urban farmer in East New York, Brooklyn, is resolved to stay healthy this year and wants to try improving her garden yields by growing and experimenting with some of the same vegetables as last season. Rhonda, also an urban farmer in East New York, Brooklyn, has a resolution to exercise more, and she also wants to become more involved with the broader SUS community and maybe even explore new employment opportunities to pursue her professional goals. Finally, Valerie, a Brooklyn urban farmer that has supported many of our program sites, hopes that 2021 will allow her to reconnect in person with her urban farms colleagues throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. One more of mention, Noel, a Brooklyn urban farmer that we'll actually be chatting with in a few minutes, looks forward to being able to be, again, part of volunteer group projects in building and renovating our gardens. First, though, I'm excited to be joined by our farms manager, Dan Danza. Welcome, Dan, and Happy New Year.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Not too bad at all. So we heard the resolution and goals from a few of our urban farmers for the 2021 season. Could you give us a sense of what the winter planning process looks like more generally for our farmers?
Yeah, actually, it typically starts pretty much right at the end of the season at the review period. And what we'll do there, we'll talk about what worked, what didn't. Sometimes some crops just do better than others. Sometimes people don't want certain things. Reassess the sites. So if you've been working at the same site for 5 years, a tree might have grown that now is casting shade, and you have to deal with that through pruning or through adaptation. Maybe there's a building that wasn't there that's casting shade. That happens pretty often. So you have to plan based on physical changes like that. So we'll take an assessment of that, and then I'll come back in the winter, check in with everyone, see if any opinions have changed. Some folks will have consulted with, obviously, like their own team, but also with folks in the building about if there's anything, if there's like specific demand for any crop.
Yep.
So we'll make a plan based on that. We'll go through each, based on all that stuff, we'll kind of like determine what it is we want to grow generally. And then after that, once we have the plan, I'll input it all into a diagram. So we have diagrams for each site. And then we'll kind of, often a little bit later in the winter, we'll go through sometimes a seed catalog, or I'll walk through like specific varieties of like the general crops. So if somebody wants kale, there's a bunch of different kinds of kale. And we can determine which ones they want, especially if they want to start growing earlier or later, or if we're doing successions. So like if there's an early crop followed by a later one. So it can get a little complicated there, but it's usually pretty straightforward. And some beds are kind of always reserved for the same, tomatoes, for instance. We're going to grow tomatoes at every site every year, pretty much. So that's just a matter of rotating the beds, right? So another thing we do is we make sure that the crops aren't grown in the same bed year after year to avoid any pest issues or disease issues. So we'll work through rotations and successions as well. And typically in February, I start ordering seeds. Those will go out in, they usually get there by March. And then seedlings are for stuff that we're not growing from seed or that we're not propagating ourselves. Seedlings are usually delivered in late May.
Mm-hmm. I'll also actually put you on the spot. Is there anything that you're especially looking forward to growing, doing, or trying this season?
So I'm a big fan of greens, any kind of greens, whether it's spinach, kale, chard. I love arugula, stuff like that. So I always really like to try at least one new variety, particularly of kale every year. And that's always exciting. And it's always a hardy crop that you can start early and grow late and grow into the winter and everything. So that's what I think I'm most excited for.
Very nice. Thank you, Dan. I think that really gave us some helpful insight into how some of these goals and resolutions begin to transform into really tangible achievements as our team plans for the spring.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Thank you. So each season, one of the core goals of the Urban Farms Initiative overall is to improve food security for the SUS community. Food security has many aspects, from access to fresh produce, to income stability, to having the knowledge and resources to creating nutritional well-being. Urban Farms is one part of SUS efforts to build security for the New Yorkers we serve. Last season, we grew and distributed an estimated 7,100 pounds of fresh fruits, vegetables, and culinary herbs from our farms and gardens. And although that's only a small fraction of the quantity needed to meet the demand, it is an important supplement for many of our participants during the growing season. It's also important in that the foods that we grow are foods chosen by our urban farmers. So as Dan was mentioning, they are the ones in the planning process in January deciding what actually goes into the ground, which helps to provide ingredients that meet their cultural and personal tastes. So in addition to broadly loved crops like tomatoes and peppers, we also grow items like callaloo and okra that are often harder to find in local neighborhood markets. So whether it's distributing fresh farm products, creating stable income through employment opportunities, or providing cooking and nutrition workshops and support, Urban Farms has been very proud of our role in developing a more food-secure SUS while recognizing the need for much more work on that front. That's why one of our 2021 goals for Urban Farms as a team is to build a food security resource hub at SUS that provides our staff, our tenants, and our program members with a centralized place to find learning resources, tools for food security programming, and resource maps for all of our program sites. Stay tuned for more information about the development of that resource over the next few months. And also don't hesitate to get in touch if you're interested in helping with the research in creating it. So recognizing that food security has been a core issue, not just for SUS, but for all of New York City, especially given many of the challenges created by COVID-19 over the last year, SUS is also producing a panel discussion series called What's Eating New York, hosted by celebrity chef and SUS board member Andrew Zimmern. The first of these virtual events will take place on January 26th at 6:30 p.m. And will have a focus on hunger in New York. In addition to Andrew, the event will include speakers from a range of backgrounds from the restaurant world, to leaders from the front lines of community food work in New York City, as well as a special musical guest appearance from singer-songwriter Michelle Branch. You can visit sus.org for all the details about this event and for some of the future events in this series. So for our final conversation today, while we won't be going outdoors, we'll still be focused on the plants that we grow for a segment we call In the Garden. And I am thrilled to be joined in this segment by urban farmer Noel Cortez. Happy New Year, Noel. How are you?
Mike.
So Noel and I chatted about before the holidays about today's broadcast, and this segment was actually his idea, doing a brief chat about one of his favorite plants, the pepper plant. Now, I'm actually also broadcasting on the side to some of our producers that are kind of behind the scenes. So I'm just going to make sure that Valerie, who is working with us, is able to hear and see everything before we get started, because I know this is a segment that she was very excited to watch as well. So let me just make sure she's good to go. Excellent. Yep. So pepper. Pepper is a part of the nightshade family of plants. So there's a lot of well-known plants in the nightshade family, including tomato and eggplant. And the pepper plant includes things like sweet bell peppers, which I think that we're all very familiar with, but also tens of thousands of different varieties of hot pepper. Now, hot pepper gets all of their heat from a chemical called capsicum, and capsicum levels are measured using a metric called the Scoville heat scale that ranges everywhere from 0. So a sweet bell pepper has a 0 level on the Scoville heat scale, all the way up to around 16 million, which is just kind of pure capsicum. But if we are talking about different levels of hot peppers that we can grow, like what are the different levels of the Scoville scale in there? Poblano, 1,000 Scoville heat units. Jalapeno is another popular one, 2,500 Scoville heat units. Cayenne, which is actually the red pepper flake that we use in our spicy honey at SUS, is 30,000. And then when you start to get into some of the hotter varieties like habanero, you're talking about 150,000 or even above. And just to give you a sense of like how hot things can get, like a pure pepper spray, like a mace pepper spray, 5 million on that scale. So habanero varieties tend to be the hottest, and there's certainly been a lot of competition in creating stronger and stronger cultivars of habanero. And Noel, what are some of the hot peppers that you've grown at Avenue J or some of the other sites before?
You got the other one. You got the yellow one, the yellow banana.
Yeah, so yep, absolutely. So yeah, I know you've done kind of a yellow banana hot pepper, which is what was one of the habaneros, which yeah, we're probably talking about 150,000 or 200,000 on the Scoville scale.
Yeah.
I know you've also shown a great love for Scotch bonnet,
Yeah.
I believe, which is 350,000. So
eat that whole entire seed, forget about that.
It's kind of gone a little higher.
Yeah.
And then I know you and I also had talked about ghost pepper.
Most people forget about that, boy.
If you had to guess, what do you think ghost pepper would measure on the Scoville rating scale?
That's 1,000.
Ghost pepper is 1 million.
1 million, damn.
So if we're talking about like pepper spray being 5 million, like ghost pepper, you're already at 1 million. You're getting to that level of heat.
Yeah.
In what our conversation was in December was Noel had been hearing about a new variety of hot pepper that's just been developed over the last couple of years called the Carolina Reaper. And the Carolina Reaper, Scoville heat scale estimated to be a little over 2 million. So again, we're talking like pepper spray is 5 million. Carolina Reaper is something you're expected to eat at 2 million. So a little less than half what it would be to just have pepper spray in your food. So I guess, Noel, we did some lovely conversation around Carolina Reaper and what that is doing out there. And I don't know, is it a pepper you think you would want to grow at some point?
Nah, that only a challenge.
I don't know if his signal's coming in, but yeah. So Noel, is a Carolina Reaper a pepper that you would want to try to grow?
No, you cannot grow that. All that is only the challenge that I say you cannot grow it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you can grow it because it's not to grow.
So no Carolina Reaper anytime soon. You're in your garden at least.
It's not to grow.
Yep. All right. So for those of you that know me, you might know I like a challenge to start off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, a challenge at the start of the year is always a very good way to fortify myself against any difficulties that the year might bring. So this first Friday's episode is actually taking place on the second Friday in January, in part because I didn't want my team to have to work on a holiday, but also because on January 1st, I was at Coney Island jumping into the ocean to begin my year. So that is to say that I don't mind a trial by ordeal, especially at the start of January. So in chatting with Noel last month, I perhaps unwisely was very receptive to a challenge by Noel to eat this. This is a chocolate bar infused with the Carolina Reaper pepper. So it is a bite of chocolate that will rank a little over 2 million on the Scoville rating scale in a single bite. I have prepared myself.
Whole thing, Mike.
Yep. So I've tried to prepare myself the best I can. At light but filling breakfast, because I don't want to try to do this on an empty stomach. I've got a tall glass of water over here. I've got some almond milk standing by, and also have some oyster crackers just to maybe cut into the heat if it gets to be a little too much. All right, let's get this open. Minjung Park saying don't do it.
Do it.
What are your thoughts, Noel?
Do it. Let them see it.
That's your word of encouragement. All right. It is actually a very small piece of chocolate. Because it's so hot, I'm not going to touch it with my hands, just in case it's so hot afterwards. I need to be wiping my eyes or anything. So I'm going to keep it in the plastic. Go over here. All right. Let's get my tissue standing by. We're getting lots of encouragement here. With the exception of Min Jung, who's perhaps the smartest of us all. But I'm hearing from the Bronx, at least from Carol, go for it. I'm hearing from Brooklyn, Noel, you're saying go for it.
1, 2, 3, 4, and go. Eat the whole thing.
Okay. Yep.
Kick it.
Okay.
Leave it. Do not touch anything. Don't touch. Don't touch, Mike.
All right. Hold on.
No. That's cheating. Mike, you lost. Don't touch anything, Mike.
Yep.
Don't.
That is hot.
Don't touch. Give me, Mike. Don't touch. Don't touch it. Don't touch.
Woo. Wow.
Don't touch.
Carolina Reaper, a serious pepper. Oh.
Don't touch. Don't touch. Mike, don't touch it for a minute. Just put that down. Put it down for a little bit.
We're just gonna let the milk sit in the mouth for a little bit. Ooh.
Just put it down a little bit.
All right, everyone.
It's still kicking.
Ooh, it hurts to talk. All right.
Wait. Put it down. Mike, put it down. He's cheating.
All right. That's our show for the month. Ooh. Not tasty at all, Alexis. Just burns. All right.
It kicking a little bit. It's still kicking in your mouth.
It is hot.
It kicking in your mouth still. Oh my God.
I don't know if it shows, but there are tears rolling down my face.
Look at Thomas. Thomas. Look at Mike. Thomas. Look at Mike. Mike is
Hello, Thomas. All right.
Mary.
So, join us every first Friday at noon throughout the year for our live broadcasts. And be sure to check out our other videos on our YouTube channel in the meantime. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. And thank you to all of the Urban Farms team members that produced today's episode. Happy New Year, everyone. I am off to clear my mouth. Goodbye until next month.
Mike.
Bye, Noel.
Mike, tell Dan, put him live. I want to see him. I want to talk to him.
I don't know. Is Dan even still online?
Yeah. Put Dan up.
That was brutal.
All right, we can be brutal for at least another half hour.
Yeah, you're very brave, Noel. You're look what you've done.
All right, Noel. That's the start of the year. Nothing else can touch us for the rest of the year, right?
In your throat, man.
Okay. All right. I'm calling this broadcast. Happy New Year, everyone. We'll see you in
Happy New Year.